What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode of the 1 Second of Strength podcast. I hope wherever you're at, you're doing great. I'm grateful, as always, that you're spending a couple of your valuable seconds with me today. As always, it's me. It's Putter. Putter's right down here. He just likes to come hang out. Wherever I am, he is. But Putter's my golden retriever. If you are new here or if you don't follow me on Instagram, sometimes he makes an appearance there. But anyway, I'm grateful to be here. Today, we're going to talk about something really critically important, whether you are a teenager. Honestly, if you're a teenager, this is a must-listen episode. So if you're a parent, you have kids who are teenagers, who are younger, this episode is one of those episodes that could really shape their life. And honestly, if you're an adult, this is the episode that you probably need to listen to. And I know in my life recently, I've had to think a lot about this, but what we're talking about today is the one thing that you need to control if you want to take control of your life, and that is your emotions. And what happens is too many teenagers are struggling today, and adults, but too many teenagers are struggling today because their emotions are taking over their life. And if you think about like the brain development, and so the prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of the brain, it doesn't develop until about until about the age of 25 years old. And so teenagers who are running around with these underdeveloped brains, which is natural, nothing's wrong with them, it's just the way the brain is. And so teenagers are under construction, they are developing, but until that brain, that prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logical decision making, it's responsible for making good decisions, it's responsible for their personality, it's responsible for a whole bunch of really, really important stuff, but it just develops later on in life. And so what's happening is that teenagers think with the middle part of their brain, it's the limbic system, but it's the emotional response center of their brain. That it's the part of the brain that is responsible for fight or flight. So, these teenagers are in this constant state of flux where everything is happening to them. Lots of things are coming at them. And if you're an adult, it's really not much different because any input that comes into our brain, something happens to us, something we see, we feel something, that emotion, right? We start to feel it, and that emotion can hijack our brain and make us not think clearly. And then if you're tired, it's going to even be compounded, it's going to be even worse. And so we, as emotional beings, adults, teenagers, whoever you are, as emotional beings, have to take control of our emotions so that we can move forward in our life. And too many teenagers are struggling today because while that part of their brain isn't developed fully yet, there is development happening there. And if we are paying attention to our emotions, then we can choose to react to different things that are happening in our lives in the way that is going to help our lives the most, instead of reacting emotionally all the time. And so there's two things about emotions that we've got to be really clear about. One, emotions are subjective, which means that you and I can have the exact same experience. You and I can see the same thing can happen to us, and both of us are going to react very differently. You might feel something really deeply. I might not feel something at all. You might feel stress, anxiety, some emotions like that rise up based on some experience that you have. I may have the exact same experience and not have any of those emotions. Or maybe, why are you standing in the corner? What are you doing? I wish you could see him right now. So sorry, sidetrack my dog. Why you're literally, it's like a dunce. He might as well have a dunce cap on because he is literally, what are you doing? Sitting in, just lay down. Anyway, we may have the exact same experience and I may not feel anything, or I might feel really happy about something that happens and you might be indifferent about it. And that's just the way emotions are. You and I are going to feel different things. So one thing we've got to understand is that emotions are subjective, but what happens is we attach meaning to them. Because of something that may have happened in our life, we are going to attach a different meaning to the things that happen to us, and then we move forward from there. And so that's the first thing that we've really got to understand. Emotions are subjective. The second thing is this, and maybe the most important thing I can tell you about emotions is that they are temporary. It is a temporary state of being. In fact, they call it an emotional state for a reason. It's because we pass through. we move through it. Just like if I was driving from Utah to where I live to Oklahoma where I grew up, I would pass through states on the way to get there. We pass through emotions, and we've got to recognize that because when we recognize that, then we know that whatever we're feeling in that moment, whatever stimulus happened to us, whatever, subjective meaning we are attaching to something, in that moment, we know that we are going to get through whatever we are feeling, good, bad. No one's happy forever. You might feel joy. You might feel all these, like everybody feels it, but then it dissipates. The same thing with anger, the same thing with sadness. Like, yes, we feel it, but then we pass through it. And so we've got to know that emotions are temporary and we are going to pass through them. In fact, there is a neuroscientist, Jill Bolt Taylor, who says that it takes about 90 seconds to pass through an emotion. 90 seconds. And so in that moment where you feel so deeply about something, give it 90 seconds. Pause. 90 seconds. Just let it go for 90 seconds. And then you'll realize that it was a temporary emotion. You might still feel passionate. I'm not saying your state of being changed or, you fundamentally shifted away from something you're passionate about. But in that moment, now you are able to logically make a decision. Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is the power to choose your response. That power, that moment, that space, that's what I call your 1 second of strength. You have the power in 1 second of strength to make a choice that is going to help you get to where you want to go, that is going to be the right decision. So if something happens to you, it makes you angry, it makes you frustrated, I need you to pause. Let 90 seconds pass, and then in 1 second of strength, make the right choice that is going to help you move forward, not get you in trouble, instead of the choice that is going to be reactionary in the moment based on the first initial stimulus that hits your brain. Does that make sense? We've got to choose to move through it. So there's a couple things I want you to do. Number one, I was trying to come up with a cool acronym for this. I can't. I'm not smart enough right now. But number one, I want you to feel your emotions. Emotions are real. I don't want you to ever think that just because they're temporary, they're not real. They are actually real. You've attached meaning to something in your life. So your emotions are real. I want you to feel them. I want you to acknowledge them. I want you to understand them. What does that mean? Because emotions, they're telling you something. Something's happened and it's telling you something. It's also telling somebody else something, by the way. Somebody can use your emotions against you, and there's a lot of people that will do that. You got to be really careful about that. But so you feel your emotions, acknowledge them, they're there. It's okay to feel them. Understand them, and then let them pass. And then make a choice. That's all you have to do. Feel, acknowledge, understand them, let them pass, and then make the choice that is going to help you move forward in your life. So we're not avoiding them. We're not, we're not, but we're also not giving them life if they shouldn't have life. And sometimes they will, and sometimes they should, but we're not avoiding them because we can't avoid the emotions that we feel. We've got to move through them. And when we move through them, then we open ourselves up back to the logical part of our brain to make that choice that is going to help us get to where we want to go. So I think that, as I've worked with teenagers, I speak in schools all the time. I talk with parents. I think that this one thing, understanding that your emotions are temporary, understanding that they're subjective, but understanding that they're temporary is one of the most important things you can do because it's in that moment when we recognize it that we stop letting our emotions have power over us and we take back that power. We take that power back. And I always tell teenagers, don't make permanent decisions based off of temporary emotions. A permanent decision happens when we feel something in a moment and we react immediately and spontaneously to that. And that gives us, that puts us in a position of danger. So we've got to recognize that those emotions are temporary. Don't make a permanent decision. We want to wait that 90 seconds. And in that moment, we're feeling them, we're acknowledging them, we're understanding them, we're letting them pass, and then we're choosing the future that we want to choose. We're choosing what we want to have happen. So there's a great quote that I just want to end with that I think will help you, and it helped me. But these emotions that we have sometimes, and look, not all emotions are negative, right? We know that. A lot of emotions are positive, but I think for the context of this podcast episode, we're really talking about the negative emotions that are grabbing us, right? But there's this quote that says, don't get swept away by inner storms. We have these inner storms, this inner turmoil that happens sometimes because of our emotions. And when we don't allow our emotions to pass, we get swept away by them. We don't want to get swept away by our inner storms. We just want to be able to weather the storm, move through it, and then make the choice that is going to move forward. And this is not preaching to anybody about what stories you should attach to your emotions, right? Or the subjective nature of your emotions. Your emotions are your emotions, and there's a reason why you feel them, and that's okay. Now, you may need to work on yourself, do some personal work to move through some emotions that you don't want to feel anymore, right? Maybe something's happened in your past and we need to work through those things. And so we do want to work through them, but I'm not telling you what to feel and what to think. All I'm saying is that I don't want you to not have control over your decisions because of the emotions that you feel temporarily. So I hope this episode helps you today. Share this, please. Please share this with your teenagers. If you're a teenager, please listen. There's a lot of things going on. Middle school's tough. High school's tough. It can be really, really challenging out there. But I need you to know, and I tell every student, I've spoken to over 50,000 students in the last year and a half. I need you to know that you are in control of your emotions. Nobody else. You are in control of your life. And when you feel out of control, that's your moment to pause, let that 90 seconds pass, and then move forward. So parents, if you're listening to this, please share this. This is also really important for parenting. Sometimes our kids do something to us that makes us react emotionally in a moment. Take a breath, pause, and then choose your reaction that is going to help. Because when we're just battling back and forth with our kids, it really doesn't help. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you, and it just creates more walls and more turmoil in your home. So share this with somebody, whoever it is. Somebody needs this today. And if you haven't done so already, please go leave a rating and a review on the episode. If you just turn this off, we're done now. You can turn this off, go back to wherever you listen to it. And you scroll down on the podcast page, and at the very bottom, you just leave 5 stars, and it helps me a ton. And it helps get the algorithm get this and recommend this podcast to more people, because, things like this, controlling your emotions, is really how you control your life. And teenagers have that power, and you have that power. So anyway, I will leave you the same way I always leave you, from myself and Putter here, who is now laying on the floor and not standing in the corner, which was weird. I'll leave you the same way I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.